Number 4. When I was 15, it happened at a Boy Scout camp. My friend, who I was supposed to share a tent with, called off the trip at the last minute, leaving me to sleep alone in the tent. The sun was setting, and after a long day of hiking, we returned to camp to set up our tent. It was already dark, and I was still trying to set up the tent. It wasn't easy to do it by myself. Someone finally came and helped me, and then we had dinner. After telling horror stories around the campfire, we all fell asleep. I think I was a little glad I had my own tent because I had more space. I fell asleep quickly, but in the middle of the night I was woken up by the sound of someone banging around my tent. I immediately assumed that some other scout was going to do something. You might think that all our tents were pitched next to each other, but our scoutmasters actually pitched our tents far apart, so I was quite far from my closest scout friends. The circling around the tent seemed to be going in circles. So, at that moment, I was sure that someone was messing with me. I asked who, and in response, they shuffled off into the woods. I almost went outside and started following them, but I thought it was no use and tried to fall back asleep. But after that, it was hard to do. Of course, the circling started again and started circling around the tents. I was now angry, so I got up and unzipped the tent door. I was expecting to see another scout, but when I faced the noisy person, I saw a grown man, probably 6 feet 5 inches tall in his 30s. My heart was racing, and I couldn't even muster the courage to scream. The man gave me a creepy smile and then pulled his finger to his lips and told me to be quiet. I quickly did a 180 and ran to my scout tent, screaming like a baby. He ran out before I could get to the tent, and I told him about the man I had seen. He and the other scoutmaster ran to my tent with a hunting rifle, but they couldn't find the man. However, they did pick up the tracks the man had left as they walked around the tent. We were all told to bring our tents close together, as if literally on top of each other. The trip was cut short the next day, and we all headed home. I have never been camping since, and never will again. 3rd. So, me and a few friends went camping along the Willamette River last summer. We actually did a good hike deep in the woods. We did some night fishing, listened to music, and basically drank to the point where everything was fun by the end of the night. I think we finally called it a night after 2 a.m. I was in a tent with one of my friends, the other 2 were in another tent. We heard them laughing about something. At first, we laughed at the sound of their laughter, but soon it became annoying and we shouted at them to shut up. One of them said, "Not us." I sat up in surprise. I realized it was just someone laughing, and it didn't sound like any of my friends. Even in my drunken state, I realized how strange it was to have someone so far away in the woods at such a late hour. The laughter gradually got louder and louder near our campsite. My friend stood up and looked at me with a worried face. I could hear my other friend yelling at us that they were getting scared. As the laughter got closer, I could very clearly see that it was the laughter of a man, probably in his 30s or 40s. He was drunk like us, playing with his friends, but we could only hear his laughter, no one else. There was something indescribably creepy about his laughter too. As if something was missing from it. You would have to be there to understand what I mean. The laughter was now right at the edge of our campsite, but we couldn't hear any footsteps. Now, it might not seem like such a big deal. It was impossible to walk through it without making a sound. And finally, suddenly, the laughter stopped altogether. We couldn't tell who was standing where because he didn't make a single sound of footsteps. We sat in silence, looking at each other. My friend was clearly scared, but he was keeping everything in order as best he could. Finally, something broke the silence. The sound of something rubbing against the cotton fabric of the tent. We saw through the moonlight the outline of a hand pressing against the tent. We both screamed before we could get out of the tent. We ran as fast as we could through the forest, our other friends following us. After about 5 minutes of running, we somehow found our car. I actually threw up running a lot before driving. I don't condone drinking and driving, but I still believe that this is exactly the situation we were in. The most terrifying experience of my life so far. I don't understand who or what it was, or what they wanted. Second, after college, I spent a few weeks backpacking alone in the Canadian wilderness. From that perspective, I was nowhere. The closest town was a 3-hour bus ride away, and I only saw one person from afar. He was on a boat for the entire 7 days. I brought a few disposable cameras with me before digital cameras became widespread. I took a lot of pictures. When I got home, I developed them and looked at them. The pictures were normal nature shots until my first camera was about halfway gone. There were 2 pictures of me sleeping in my tent in my sleeping bag. When I saw it, I literally freaked out and was completely paralyzed. To this day, I don't know how those pictures were taken. I haven't been camping since, and I sleep with my door open and the curtains closed, and I still have the awful feeling that the person who took the pictures is still watching me somehow. First of all, my boyfriend and I decided to go camping in the canyon for a while. We always went with a few other people, but this was the first time we were alone. As we got out of the car to get back to our camping spot, 2 strange-looking guys came out of the trailhead, looked at us, and drove back to their old-school Volkswagen camper van. I had a strange feeling, but I ignored it and went back to our camping spot. I had camped in the same spot a few times before, and I knew it pretty well. After we got back there, I knew about several camping spots and checked them all out to see which one would be ideal for us. I noticed someone was camping further up the mountain. So, I picked a spot a little lower down where we would probably be out of sight. But that didn't matter to you, because I heard him yelling at someone else. By the time we got everything packed up, it was starting to get dark. So, I thought I'd start looking for wood. Suddenly, the man came up to us and asked if we needed any help and offered to sell us a bundle of wood for $10. I laughed because we were in the woods, so surrounded by wood, which I could pick up from the ground for free. Then he said that I wouldn't get much because they had been clearing it out for the past few weeks. A few weeks? I asked him how long he had been camping there and he said about a month. I was already scared of him and he claimed that he was there alone. I asked him why I heard him yelling at someone then, and while he was talking about what he started talking about other people. He started to stutter and said, yeah, some people I know are camping across the river. Then he told us that he had been alone since he arrived. He had come from Pennsylvania, taken the bus to Lexington and lived in the woods behind where I worked. I knew exactly where he was talking because I saw some homeless people, immigrants, and drug addicts coming and going from that forest every day. Basically, he was a homeless man who had somehow decided to drive to the pier and stay there. He was making a living by eating snakes, insects, and selling firewood for money. But he said that this was the first we had seen him in weeks. His story had spread everywhere, and I knew that he was lying about a lot of what he had told us. He wasn't alone, even if he said it himself. He even took us to his camp where there was plenty of stuff for several people, not just one. He said that he liked to camp up there where he could see everything and everyone. Then he showed us the campsite. He had a direct view. It was getting dark by then and he helped us put out the fire. I was trying to gently help him back up the mountain so that I could have a minute to process all this. After he left, I started whispering to my boyfriend that there was no way we were going to hell, that I could sleep with the fake homeless guy lying right on top of the hill. We didn't have a gun, a knife, or even a dog to protect ourselves if necessary. My boyfriend somehow convinced me to stay a little longer, so we planned to spend the night. But all night long, we kept hearing branches and twigs rustling around our tarp as if someone was watching us. I knew it was the guy. He was standing outside, watching us. I said, let's quietly get our __ together and get the hell out of there. Which we did, except we set up our new tarp because they would make too much noise and he would know we were leaving. As I stood up with my pack, he yelled, "Leaving so soon?" We started to move as quickly as we could. The most annoying thing was, as we were moving away, the guy kept yelling for us to come back. We moved faster on this. I think we were either being robbed, raped, murdered, or something else because he wasn't alone. His stories didn't add up, and given his background of where he came from, I thought he was running from something and trying to hide by living off the grid. The next morning I called the rangers and told them about him. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us. The next morning I called the Rangers and told them about him. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us. The next morning I called the Rangers and told them about him. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us. He only got a new set of tarps from us. The next morning I called the Rangers and told them about it. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us. The next morning I called the Rangers and told them about it. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us. He only got a new set of tarps from us. The next morning I called the Rangers and told them about it. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us. The next morning I called the Rangers and told them about it. Luckily, he only got a new set of tarps from us.